Hi, fifth graders. It's Mrs. Brand again. This is the way we'll be doing things, I guess, for the rest of the year. I'm going to switch it up a little bit. It's not going to be always on this board. But for today, I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you did pretty well on your lesson or Unit 14B test that you took. And now we are on to the next section. So Lesson 76, Grade 5, you are on page 492 of your math books. So if you want to open up your math books, you can see where we're starting to look at things. All right. Well, in the word, since we're talking about multiplying, the word of equals multiplication. So, for example, if I have three groups of 2, that means I have 1, 2, 3 groups with 2 in each group. And then that's the same as saying 3 times 2. So 3 times 2. So that of kind of gives me that idea that there's a multiplication in there. Well, we're going to take a look at that for fractions now and see what does that look like as a fraction if I'm multiplying fractions together. Well, let's take a look at a simple or a question, maybe not simple, but a question here in math. What is 1/2 of 2/6? So 1/2 of 2/6. So we can see these fractions as 1/2 of 2/6. I'm just going to write them on opposite sides of the board there. So 1/2 of 2/6. Well, I've colored in 2/6. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces. I have 2 colored in there. Now, your first instinct might be to say, well, 1/2 of 2/6 has to be 1/6, but it's not, because we're not looking at all of this here. We're looking at that and we're saying, hey, we want to cut that in half. So if I cut that in half right there, now if I look at what I have there, let's just I'll kind of put a box around it, and then I'll color in 1/2. So here's 2/6, and I divided it in half. When I divide it in half, I have this part up here. That part, that purple part, is 1/2 of 2/6. However, because it's not all equal pieces, what we need to do then is to take that whole thing and make them so that they're equal squares. So here's a square, so I need to just kind of cut this down here to make it so that they're all equal pieces. Now I have pieces that are all the same size. So when I look at 1/2 of 2/6, I have that colored in. Now when I go to write that out, what does that look like? Well, 1/2 of 2/6, I have now, instead of 6 pieces, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I have 12 pieces. And out of those 12 pieces, 2 are shaded in. So I actually end up having 2/12 as my answer. Now let me review that with you again. Okay, so we had 2/6 colored in. We wanted 1/2 of those 2/6. So we took that 1/2 or 2/6 and we divided it in 1/2, and we have this section up here. Now, in order to make it even, we need to break it into pieces. Well, we broke it into bigger sections, or smaller sections, smaller sections. And now each section is the same size. So whether I take this piece over here or this piece over here, it's not going to matter. They're the same size. And then we saw that there's 1, 2 pieces shaded in out of 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 pieces. And we got 2/12. Okay. So let's look at another visual, and then we'll actually go to the equation of how this works with that. Okay. So let's say I have a circle here, and we'll divide it into pieces. All right. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? 2, 4, 6, 8. We have 8 pieces here. And I'm going to color in a section. So I'll color in one piece, and then I'm going to color in let's say, another piece over here. And let's do one more piece. So now I have 3/8 colored in. So this is 3/8. Well, what if I wanted 1/2 of the 3/8? 1/2 of 3/8. So what we need to do then is we're going to take 1/2 of each of those 3/8 here. So I take 1/2 of this one, I take 1/2 of this one, I take 1/2 of this one. Now what I've also done is make new sizes, because this is the size of it, this is the size of this one, this is the size of this one. You can see they're half the sizes. So what we need to do now is to make sure that everybody has an equal size piece. So we're going to take the ones that we haven't split and we're going to split them up now. So now I have to split these in half. I have to split this in half. And this one was already done, so we got to split that one in half. Okay, now a lot of little red pieces there. But if we count them up, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. We have 16 pieces now. Alright, we have 16 pieces, and the ones that are outlined for me, I'll just color in those little ones here. I have this one, I have that one, and I have that one. So how many pieces is that? Hopefully you said 3, and it is 3 pieces. It's 3 pieces out of 16. Okay? Now, visually that can get a little bit disturbing. Trying to figure out, well, wait a minute, what is that? How does that look? Well, let's take a look at what we do in an actual multiplication of fractions situation then. So we had, on this top one, 1/2 of 2/6. Okay, so let's move this over a little bit, and we'll do 1/2 times 2/6. 1/2 times 2/6. That's what it would look like. And in addition and subtraction, we kept that denominator, had to have that denominator the same, and we made sure that we added across and we never changed the denominator. In multiplication, that's different. So in multiplication, what you're going to do is you're going to multiply the top two numbers together over, you're going to multiply the bottom two numbers together. 2 times 6. So 1 times 2 is 2. 2 times 6 is 12. So we got 2/12 as our answer. 1/2 of 3/8. 1/2 of 3/8 is the same as 1/2 times 3/8. So we do exactly what we just said. 1 times 3 equals 3. And then 2 times 8 equals 16. We have 3/16, which was what our answer was over here too. Okay, so we start to look at that and we can break it down and use it in that method. What I've showed you over here, the equation, is probably going to be the easiest way to do that, but they do want you to understand what does that look like as a picture. Okay. If you look at example 3 in your book, it says a nickel is what fraction of a dime. A dime is what fraction of a dollar. A nickel is what fraction of a dollar. We've done ones like this before. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and erase this and we'll take a look at some of these questions here. I have a nickel, 1, and I have, it's a fraction of a dime. So I want to ask myself, how many nickels make a dime? How many nickels make a dime? Well, 2. So we'd have 1/2. Okay. The second one says a dime is what fraction of a dollar? I have 1 dime. And how many to make a dollar? Hopefully you said 10. 10 dimes make $1. So the denominator would be 10. So we have 1/10. Next question says, a nickel is what fraction of $1? I have 1 nickel, and I want to know how many nickels equal $1. How many is it? Right, you double your dime and you get 20 nickels. All right, then D asks us 1/2 of 1/10 is what fraction? 1/2, you can hear it, 1/2 of, there's the multiplication sign, 1/10. 1/2 of 1/10 is what fraction? So I multiply across. 1 times 1 is 1, and then 2 times 10 is 20. And that gives me 1/20. So 1/20, 1/2 of 1/10 is 1/20. Okay, that's how we do that all the time. Okay, if we want to know, let's look at example 5. That's a little different. We have 1 inch, we have a square. I'll put it up here just so that you you know where I'm talking about on page 494. You have a rectangle and it has pieces that look like this, and it's going across. Okay, this is 1 inch, and they say this is 1 inch, and then they say this is this little square down here, they say this is 1/2 inch, and then they say that this little square is, this part of the square is 1/4 inch. So they're saying that this is 1/2, this is 1/4. And so they have that little box shaded in right here. And they ask you, what fraction of the whole square is shaded? What fraction of the whole square is shaded? Well, here's the whole square. I have one piece out of 1, 2, 4, 6, 8 out of 8 pieces, so 1/8 shaded. Then it asks us, choose a formula and then find the area of the shaded rectangle. Well, remember, for area is length times width. So they want it for the shaded area only. So just this piece right here. That's all they want to know. How big is that square? What is the inside section of that square? What is the area of that? So we say it's 1/2 right there. 1/2 times the 1/4 going across here. So when we look at that, just like we were doing earlier, 1 times 1 equals 1. 2 times 2, or 2 times 4 equals 8. So 1/8 of an inch would be its area, and of course it's squared, so we put the square up there because all area is squared. So 1/8 square inch, or you could do 1/8 inch squared. Either way is fine, but remember, area has that little, for the rectangle has the 2 there for squared. Okay, that's our basic lesson for today. Your worksheet today is all doing multiplication of fractions like this. So you'll have these, and just remember, unlike addition and subtraction, we're just going to multiply going across, and then we're going to multiply the bottom going across. All right, so that's your lesson for today, and hopefully it made sense, and I will talk to you later.